are doing. You go to it and you sign up. There's a thing on there called Mega Vote. You sign up to it, give them your email address. They email you every week telling you what bills your representatives voted on, how they voted, and the upcoming bills for the next week. It's like a just once a week email, keep you in tune. Another thing on the Campaign for Liberty, I see a lot of familiar faces. To me, this is kind of our core group, and trying to build this group so we can get information, educate people. And to me, it's kind of like a core group. So when people are campaigning or something's going on, we have somebody, a group, groups to pull from. And we're not the only group. There's of course other groups around that do the same thing. But using all the tools at our disposal, is a good thing. And another group's always a good thing too. Like you got the tea parties, where some people may not want to be involved or whatnot, and for different reasons or whatnot, and the tea parties can't do it all and educate nobody neither. So it's going to take all of us. And I was just wanted to ask everybody, if we could maybe there's been about 10, 12 people coming every month. If we can maybe each bring one person, me, myself, to bring we all try to bring one person that we're trying to inform or whatnot, and try to exponentially grow the group every month. And also, I'm not the sole decider neither on what to do as a group. This is a group. We're all can have our inputs. Email back and forth. Say, hey, why don't we do it this way? Or why do you do this? And I'm open for suggestions or what we can do to grow the group, to get information out and educate. Well, why don't we get going with the speakers? We'll have Mark Vogel speak first, and then Ron, if you want to say something, and then we'll take a little bit of questions from everybody. Mark Vogel seeking a seat for 2nd Congressional District here in Indiana. He's served in both Navy and Air Force for over 10 years. He's in the final stage of acquiring his Doctor of Pharmacy. He's a devoted family man. Just recently had a baby boy. And we'll welcome Mark Vogel up. And Mark.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Vogel, and I am the Libertarian Party candidate for United States Congress in the 2nd District. I appreciate everyone coming out today, and I hope you enjoyed that documentary film on fiat money and the Federal Reserve System. I want to say I do support the mission of Campaign for Liberty, which is sound money, constitutional government, free markets, a non-interventionist foreign policy, and individual liberty. I want to read a quote. This is from John Maynard Keynes. Keynes was an economist, and he's kind of the father of our modern-day economic system of fiat money, of this paper-based money system. And John Maynard Keynes said, by a continuous process of inflation, government can confiscate secretly and unobserved an important part of the wealth of their citizens. Alan Greenspan, also a Keynesian economist and chairman of the Federal Reserve under both Democrats and Republicans, said in 1966, in the absence of a gold standard, there is no way to protect savings from confiscation through inflation. I think that's important to know that these chairmen of the Federal Reserve and these economists, some of them really get it. They understand that inflation is theft and it is a confiscation of the fruits of your labor. However, they continue that process, and they have no problem with that. I got a chart here, this graph. It shows productivity and average real earnings. On here, this is productivity And in a free market system, as productivity increases, your real wages actually increases as well. That's in a free market system. And what happened in 1971, our last tie to gold was severed by Richard Nixon. And you can see as productivity increases, that the real wages never increased. It stayed the same. And they were able to do this through inflation. But the theft of your productivity, the theft of the fruits of your labor, your income, is substantial. You can hypothesize from looking at this graph that today you could be working a 20-hour work week instead of a 40-hour work week and making the same amount of money. So it is pretty substantial. And the question you might want to ask yourself is, are you better off today than you were under the Republican administration or the Democratic administration before that? And I think most people would answer no, they're not better off. And some people would even say they're worse off. You know, every time you go to the store, it's more expensive. Healthcare costs are skyrocketing. The cost of education is just out of control. It used to take one person in the household could work in the past, and they could support the family, pay for the house, send the kids to college. And today, you have two members of the household working, and they still don't have enough money to make it. And the government's response to this, it's like, well, minimum wage laws, that'll solve the problem. Let's increase minimum wage. Well, they've been increasing minimum wage, and there's no way it's going to keep up with inflation. And that's not the solution. The solution is getting back to a sound money system, using gold and silver as money, and take away the Federal Reserve's power to inflate the currency. During the recession, the government has spent $3.7 trillion trying to get us out of the recession, try to save jobs. $3.7 trillion. Unemployment right now is anywhere from 16 to 22%, depending on what resource you look at. Ben Bernanke, chairman of the Federal Reserve, Greenspan disciple, said recently that we lost 8.5 million jobs. 8.5 million jobs. We spent $3.7 trillion. Were those unemployed people, those 8.5 million unemployed, would they be better off if the government had just given them a share of that $3.7 trillion?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be about $435,000 per person, per unemployed. Mm-hmm. Are they better off? And we see this waste in government and this spending, and the government thinks they can solve all these problems. They can solve the healthcare problem, they can solve the unemployment problem, and they can solve every problem. But the reality is, they can't. And they actually make things a lot worse than they are. And the reason being is because this political entrepreneurs gaming the system, this crony capitalism. And it's been going on for a long time. I think there should be a separation between business and state. I don't know about separation between church and state, but between business and state, I think that would be beneficial. Give an example of this crony capitalism or these political entrepreneurs. We can look at Bear Stearns. That's the most blatant example. This happens at the county level, happens at the state level, and happens at the federal level. So to give a more blatant example, in 1995, President Bill Clinton, on his own, decided to bail out the peso, the Mexican peso, at the tune of $20 billion. It wasn't his money, it was the taxpayers' money, but he spent $20 billion to bail out the Mexican peso, the Mexican treasury bonds. And the question was, why would he do that? Was he concerned about the people in the 2nd District? Did he want to help them out somehow? And that's going to benefit them? Well, who was cheerleading for this bailout in 1995? Well, there was Robert Rubin. Robert Rubin, Secretary Treasurer of the United States. He was the biggest pusher of this bailout. Well, Robert Rubin was a former co-chairman of Goldman Sachs. Well, here's an example of someone gaming the system, a political entrepreneur who's looking out for the best interest of his friends, his former workers. And Goldman Sachs had $5 billion invested in Mexican bonds. So that's why, it makes sense. Well, that's why they bailed him out at taxpayer expense. Well, that's under the Democrat administration. Well, what about the Republican administration? And this has been going on for a long time with Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs has been gaming the system for a long time. Under the Bush administration,